This video, if you like, can be seen as a sort of companion piece to the short that I recorded, in which I didn't mention any names, except I eventually capitulated and mentioned Ye, or Yi. Is it Yi or Ye? I think it's Ye, because that would rhyme with his actual name. You can watch that short and glean from it, I think, the point that I'm making without there being any specifics being mentioned. But those who are in the know, you don't really have to be that clever to be able to fill in the blanks in that video. And I wanted to throw something together that was short and sharp. I don't really know, especially now that I'm on my backup channel, I don't know the number of views it'll get. Probably not many, but I thought it was worth a try just to put it out there and you know, make it just put it out there flatly. You know, what's really going on, what happened to this man, and how essentially what happened to him proved his point. And that's not something that people are going to just ignore. People notice things. They know what they're not supposed to talk about, but they also notice things. And if you wanted to somehow make the point that he's just crazy, paranoid, schizophrenic, off his meds, for saying the things that he said about that particular group, well, you haven't really done much to prove him wrong by doing what you did to him after he just took a little poke at you. You know, if you weren't so extremely powerful, then why would it happen that somebody who just in a one-time deal says something not totally flattering about you leads to the end of his career? I think people who notice. That's all I'll say about that. Now, what I kind of have been thinking about lately, to put it more, to make it more personal, because I do, you know, I have been vibing with Ye with Kanye lately, but of course the truth is he's this world famous celebrity, you know, extremely rich. Even now that everybody's cutting ties with him, he's still incredibly rich, and he's still making money off of, you know, his record, all of his songs and all of his albums and so forth. That they're not going to be able to take that money away from him. So maybe he won't be as much of a high roller as he's been, but you know, he's still world famous, still has had a incredibly successful career as an entertainer and has sustained it for a long period of time. And I, on the other hand, I have this with me. It's a little different, because I have this strange combination of notoriety and anonymity. You know, and at times I wonder. At times, you know, when I'm really feeling down, I think to myself, I've really got the worst of both worlds. Because on the one hand, you know, it's not like my name means anything to anybody outside of a very small niche. But on the other hand, my name is known, and is known by the same kind of people who did what they did to Kanye, they also know my name. And so I have the sort of notoriety where if I just told some stranger my name, they would just be like, "Oh, okay, interesting. Is that Polish?" Or what have you. But it's also the kind of name where if I were applying for a job, and I gave them the name that I go by. Now, don't think that Uncle Andy isn't a little bit clever. Okay, I do know certain tricks. That's all I'll say. But if I were to give them the name that I'm quote famous for, my author's name, Andy Nowicki, of course it doesn't register with most people. But if I were applying for a job and the boss said, "Yeah, you look good. You look like you've got a good work ethic and you look like you would be a good fit here with us, and let's get the paperwork ready. I just want to check up on a couple things, just for a formality, and then we'll get back to you." And let's say that I gave that potential boss my actual name, and let's say that potential boss typed my actual name into a search engine. I don't believe I'd be hearing back from that actual boss, or I'd be hearing back from him saying, "Oh, well, we're sorry, things have changed, blah blah blah. Turns out the position isn't available anymore. We're really sorry, but keep on keeping on, and we wish you the best in all of your endeavors." When the real reason would be they would see who I was, who I was with respect to who the controllers say you ought to trust and who you ought to shun. So in one way, Kanye and me are not that different. Ye and me are not that. We're both outcasts. We're both shunned and vilified. Now, I wonder I wonder a lot of things. This Kanye case is making me wonder about a lot of things. I watched most of his interview with Lex, what's his name, who I didn't think was terrible. I thought he was mostly fair. But there were some times where I was kind of like, come on, you're being intellectually dishonest here, Lex. You really are. And, but it was nowhere near what watching him on Piers Morgan or some other of those, sons of bitches, those talking head types. And the kind of cheap shots and the kind of attitudes that they would cop. And, I think this guy was trying, to be conciliatory. And, I give him some credit for that. But also, there were certain things that I think he needed to be called on the carpet for. And I think Kanye did call him on the carpet for these things. But the problem is, Kanye, he's a smart guy, and I've said this before, he's a smart guy, but he's eccentric, he's unpredictable. You don't really know how his mind works. He's gonna go from one thing to another. I've seen him in enough interviews to know that he can't really be expected to stay on track. Okay, and there's something really raw about him, and that makes it very compelling. There were times in this interview where he was angry as hell for good reason, and the reason he was angry was because he was being called this villain. He was being they were his name was Mud because he had said what he said on social media, but nobody wanted to know why he said what he said on social media. And he made that point a couple of times. Why isn't anybody asking that question? I don't think, I don't think he went about this in the most prudent way. But I don't know if prudence is Kanye's way. But again, that's part of the whole enigma of Kanye, because he must have some kind of savvy to have gotten to where he's gotten. But when he wrote that tweet, he evidently didn't see what he was doing. That just writing that tweet and sending it off was going to be burning down his career, more or less. I'm not saying he's finished. I don't think he is. But as far as making himself ostracized, but he has made the point, and I'm willing to. I'm willing to concede that point. I say concede that point, but I mean I'm not somebody who typically talks about this particular group a lot, and I know for some of you that's annoying. You want me to talk about them more. I don't see the point of this kind of full frontal obsession. Yes, this group is out there. Yes, they are powerful. I've talked about it before many times. I still believe in looking at people as individuals, and I do think that, like any other group, there are good ones and bad ones, and they can't be talked about as a monolith. Okay, so I basically don't satisfy anyone. I'm in the people who want to call me a anti-S, I don't know why I'm still speaking in code, but I'm going to keep doing it just because that's the way it is. If people want to say that, some people want to, well, you obviously have it in for them because you think they're powerful. Well, yeah, they're powerful, and that's exactly what Kanye's point is. They were powerful enough to destroy him. They were powerful enough to ruin his career when he said one thing, when he wrote one tweet. So anyhow, I think that I wonder who's got it better. Somebody like me, whose anonymity gives him some kind of protection, but at the same time, whose notoriety, is something that can be found out about if you look for it, if you type my name into a search engine. So do I have it worse? I mean, because obviously it's put a stop to my career aspirations in many ways before I even became anybody. Kanye became one of the hugest stars in the world, kind of like Mel Gibson before him. And Mel found a way back, without, I think, compromising too much. He probably had to compromise a little. He probably had to apologize a little. I'm worried about Kanye being able to come back, in a way that, I'm worried about him. I pray for the guy. He's got a vulnerability about him, and I know I have my vulnerabilities too, but I'm not, in the white hot spotlight like he is, and I hope he can, with God's help, can find his way through and emerge better and brighter than he ever was before. And that's my wish, and that's my prayer, and that's my hope. So, another video about ye and me, I suppose, as I sit in the gloaming dusk. Thanks for watching. Talk to you.